What is he doing there?
What?
The gentleman here. On the grass?
With cats, you mean?
Yeah. You see it everywhere.
You see it everywhere?
Everywhere.
And where is?
Huh?
And where is?
There's a
You
man.
see anymore?
Yeah, there's a woman, there's someone over there doing it, and when you drive, you see it all the time.
Kim Il-sung gives hope to people all over the world who are living in a hopeless situation. He finally achieved in liberating the country and made the country into the workers' paradise, of which I am proud to visit today.
because it's natural. The kids are.
Yeah.
And when they grow up, well, they're so much indoctrinated. There's still a chance there for this country that these people will grow natural people.
Yes.
Yeah, but, well, God knows what will become of them when they grow up. And they get so much indoctrinated that they won't behave like natural people.
The whole world's going to be different too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So the Korean people, so the things that's our leader Kim Jong-il is always in our heart of the Korean people.
Where does the leader Kim Jong-il live? Oh, he lives nowhere. He lives in our heart. He lives in every heart of every Korean man and woman.
Right, right. Next time when people ask me where I live,
I hope to live in your heart.
Listened to South Koreans tell me what North Korea is like, and I've listened to Washington tell me about what North Korea is like, and I was tired of it, so as you said, I wanted to see from my own eyes. Because I think that there are a lot of misperceptions that, let's take the nuclear issue for example.
It was reliant on fuel from the Soviet Union. It has no oil of its own, it has some natural gas. By 1994 they needed a way to generate power, so they started to build a nuclear plant. It upset the USA that a country was going to build a heavy water factory. Jimmy Carter came in, an agreement was signed, they freeze for heavy nuclear plant in exchange for 2 light water reactors. Now these light water reactors were meant to be finished in the year 2000. We're now in 2004. All there is 2 concrete holes in the ground. So the government was left with no choice. It starts work again on the heavy water factory, which it froze in '94. And the North has said that it will freeze and allowing the International Atomic Energy Agency into this country for checks if the light water reactors resume building, they get fuel till they're completed, and the most important thing, the USA signs a pact of non-aggression and violence.
I think that the administration in Washington doesn't necessarily understand the culture of Koreans, both North Koreans and South Koreans. They don't understand certain things that you need to understand before you can make a determination on an issue like nuclear weapons. I think the U.S. is using a lot of very strong language. I mean, the president said North Korea is part of the axis of evil, and I don't think that the administration really has much information, any information about North Korea. So little is known that I think it's difficult for the U.S. to do that. Now, on the other hand, I think that North Koreans, the government, for right or for wrong, has certain impressions of the United States in general that might not be correct.
Communist Kim Jong-il told that the nature of U.S. imperialism will never change.
The U.S. has perhaps been overly aggressive and confrontational towards North Korea. I think also North Korea perhaps has gotten too defensive. They don't trust the U.S. administration. So they as well are maybe saying some things and doing some things that are not necessarily helping bring the situation to a peaceful conclusion. Is that fair?
One question. I think that you generally had the general preconception of our country before you came to our country, okay? About our country, you have some idea what Korea is like. And now you're here for 3 days, and is there any change of your preconception?
I didn't expect North Korea to be as pretty as it is. I didn't expect it to be as green, as much farmland. I know a lot of Korean people, so I expected people to be as kind as they are. You know, so I really did have an open mind. I was expecting it to be a nice place. So, and I've been impressed. I'm very impressed. I think it's a wonderful place. I think it's also difficult to get a complete picture of the place in only 3 days. So we have more time to spend.
I just want you to have the fair and have a correct understanding of the country.
Yes, and that's what I want to do as well. I'm not here. It would be boring. It would be a waste of my time to come and just go back and tell the same stories that they do all the time without visiting Korea.
From California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, oh, this land was made for you and me. Thank you, I'll be here all week.
Wacht even, jullie kat niet kopen, man. Wacht even.
Esteemed Your Excellency, Kim Jong-il, we, who extend full support and solidarity to the Korean people in their cause for national reunification, have the honour to address this letter to you. We wish you, esteemed Your Excellency, Kim Jong-il, a long life and good health. Please accept our highest considerations. Now I declare the start of the International March for Korea's peace and unity. 위대한 영도자 김정일 동지 만세! 조선민주주의인민공화국 만세! 조선민주주의인민 만세!
Soldier of Kim Jong-il. In order to glorify the title and fulfill my duty as its soldier, I formed the Korean Friendship Association. The association includes thousands of members of different social strates and conducts colorful friendship and solidarity activities on various occasions.
We are also going to have the testimony of 2 people that suffered the atrocities of the Americans, that today they are still alive and can spread the truth about what happened here.
We have Americans amongst us. What does it mean for this tour at this place?
This means very much, because we know very well what is U.S. administration and what are the U.S. soldiers compared to the U.S. people. We have a lot of people in the USA who are peace-loving, that are members of our association, or that are here to show the solidarity with the Korean people. So for the Koreans, it's very important that today we have here some Americans to show them that there are many people in the country that are against these atrocities and that they wish peace and friendship between both nations.
Can the atrocities be forgiven?
Yes, forgiven but not forgotten. like the typical phrase. So we'll never forget, and we'll always be aware that this never happen again. But of course, they are forgiven. If not, the U.S. people or U.S. friends won't be welcome here. But they are like any other nationality. They are just considered friends.
Would you mind just sort of gesturing to this and telling us a little bit about what this image means, what it's meant to represent?
Okay, exactly. My Korean is not very good, but as many of our posters and propaganda, we see a soldier, Korean soldier, smashing the imperialist troops, okay, that are represented below. Not only the U.S. soldiers, but also the South Korean puppet army that still today they are under control of the U.S. imperialists. For this reason, they are a tragedy for the nation, for the Korean nation. Korean people are peace-loving people, as you are witnessing. They are very friendly, very open. They open the doors of the house to anybody that comes to visit. But on the other hand, we have the U.S. that they are not happy only to have their own territory, but they consider themselves a superior race. So this is the courage of the Korean soldier expelling and destroying the American and imperialist troops. Which in Korean, I don't know the exact translation, but Ridongji will tell me what it says.
What is it
exactly meaning of
withdraw the United States troops and to achieve the national unification.
A soldier should follow his leader, not only in idea, but also in dressing. I have several clothes fenced by North Koreans. One of them is a jumper. I have it made because Kim Jong-il likes to wear it, calling it people's dress or combat uniform. My warm reverence for him made me even model my dressing on his.
So I would like to briefly introduce about Chosån Museum. During the Korean War, the Koreans who are living in this county, as well as those who are living around these surrounding areas, they had been all going to the southwards. In Chosŏn County, the U.S. troops stayed here. During their stay, they have killed. The atrocities which was committed by the U.S. troops had been too cruel and vicious and bestial, homicidal atrocities. Hitler writes that Comrade Kim Il-sung had given Oswald guidance in this area. The respected leader, Comrade Kim Jong-il, had visited here 2 times. These pictures show the atrocities. The enemies had killed. Like that. They have killed. They have to kill all mothers and even children of the Chosån area. They had given gasoline to those crying babies who are crying for thirsty. The children, knowing that the gasoline is water, they have drunken it, and from bitter pain and vomiting blood, and they thought those blood was the breast milk of mother, and baby had been sucking on that. The farmer was known as the very energetic hard worker. They had killed his son in front of him with axing his head, and after that they had killed him, first cutting all of his legs and arms. His daughter-in-law had been killed brutally like that. With knife they had teared off her breast and killed brutally.
How, if at all, does that change your view of the U.S. coming here and seeing these alleged atrocities?
It doesn't change my view of the U.S.
Is it pretty much what, did you expect to hear these kinds of things? Or
I pretty much expected to hear. It was pretty much as I thought it would be.
What does she hope people will learn from this museum?
우리 조선인민에게 끼친, 바로 미제가 끼친 피값, 이걸 1100배로 마당이 아니야.
It gives revenge, the strong revenge feeling against U.S. Imperialists who had been killed brutally, Koreans here, innocent people. So we think that blood to blood, we should revenge those enemies. So we'll take a little break. You will be killed.
Studley, how long have you been here and you're already hitting on all of us?
I'm the man.
He's big movie star. Big movie star.
That's right.
Hollywood. Gordon Slee. If you do a Jewish dance. I'm Studley Bornstein. Perhaps you recognize me from such feature films as Tarzan, Hear Me Roar.
Okay, I've got one they might understand.
Yes.
Surround, net surround.
What did you say?
I love you, I love you, I love you.
What did it say? I love you.
Does she feel different now that she actually spoke to a live, living American person?
실제 여기 와서 진짜 미국 사람들하고 말하니까 다 놀래가지고 좀 감동하고 다른가요?
같은 사람인데 다 같이 뭉고요.
They're all human beings, the same human beings, and the feeling are the same.
Just tell her that not all Americans are as good looking as I am.
신나지가 있어. 왜 미국인들 속에서 자기만큼 더 사람 없대?
Well, you guys having a blast to be talking to the ladies, aren't you? You ever seen a man talk to ladies before? Not something in the Netherlands that you don't have?
Well, we're in the DPRK and you're schmoozing like it's the USA. Hey, this is one Saturday, not Las Vegas.
Perhaps you recognize me from such films as Hey Baby, What's Going On?
Hey David, the iPod moment now.
Oh. Hey, give her the iPod. Have her put the iPod on.
My gosh, schmuck, I didn't bring it.
You bring your camera.
The iPod, you gonna press one?
Yeah. You like music? No.
Yeah, oh, you gotta take a picture of that.
Yeah. I think they'll like him a lot.
Well, we sort of got it yesterday with the kids, but
We can't take Bornstein anywhere, can we?
He's like corrupting.
Cultural imperial.
He's corrupting everybody.
I know, he's terrible.
Everybody and everything he touches, he corrupts within American.
the cameras chased her away.
The guides can show. There's much slack, and you can ask any sort of question you want, really. When you have much more slack than you would think if you just believe the external news. Say hardship, not disaster.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is important for us to show that indeed what you hear on the outside is not true. You can see and experience this for yourself, and that also you can stay here and have a lot of fun.
That's true, and you have a beautiful beach.
Yes?
Yes, it's very beautiful.
Clean, no glass, no, well, at least not much garbage. One or two cigarette butts maybe.
If you drank from this kind of bottle and you verify the data, if you have any problem, diarrhea or something, please let us know our doctors, David or the Korean one, okay? And of course, do not drink anymore like Andrew. Okay? Only this, but always check the spy date. I discovered not because the spy date, but because the taste was terrible. Okay, the North Korean water must be crystal clear and delicious. Huh?
This tastes like American.
Yeah, like American eggs.
DMZ begins here.
Yes.
Exactly.
This is it right here.
The gate we entered.
Yeah. This is the Demilitarized Zone. Yes,
the entrance of the.
Anyway, it's like jumping down to the subway and touching one of the rails. Subway. The fence. It's the same electricity that's used for a subway. So it's pretty,
1,000? It's 1,000 volts?
I figure approximately 1,000 volts, yes. And what about the bridge?
So you have tried.
And we are going to shout the slogans with the micro, or with a loudspeaker. Okay. Then, what slogans we are going? We are going to say, Korea is one. Korea is one in Korean. Chosŏn'gŭl 하나다.
Chosŏn'gŭl 하나다.
Another we are going to say, Yankee go home.
Yankee go home.
Yankee go home.
Yankee go home.
We're entering Panmunjom.
Say again. Alex, what? Say again and louder.
Yeah, no problem.
Panmunjom from South Korea. Panmunjom is right there. We are now in the border, okay? We are going to be just in the line. If you visit Panmunjom from South Korean side, the first thing the American and South Koreans will tell you is that this building is fake, that this is a decoration, that we don't have money to build houses, and we are dying. So this is a demonstration, this building, that the South Koreans lie. And this same lie is spread in all the media. This is the famous building. They say it's a decoration. So please let the world and all the friends know the lies of the American media. Thank you.
First of all, we'll have a look at the Panmunjom area. This way, please.
This is the DMZ, in the north of the south.
The white
Charles
buildings
Bronson
are ran by
poses
our
behind,
side,
just
and
poke
the
out with
four
some
buildings are ran by United States.
좌우 양옆에 나무 사이로 보이는 푸른 건물들이 이건 저소입니다.
A U.S. military post.
이렇게 하나의 조선민족이 군사분계선을 사이에 두고 50년이 넘도록 북한 나무를 효율적으로 분열했습니다.
The Korean people are still facing the tyrannical division for over 50 years.
Tourists bus going from the south.
그 문으로 지난 시기 군사분계선을 들어가고
The building with open the door. That's where we have met.
Battle of
Who
the
are they
tourists.
watching?
Oh, this is so funny.
The armored car which has just passed away, that's the armored car from the South Korea side.
It's not an armored car, it's a Hummer.
Actually, it is law, it is a regulation to forbid any armored car or armistice weapons.
이쪽으로 좀 오겠습니다.
Please come nearer this side.
안 돼, 빨리빨리.
Is the United States behind this? Huh? They put the South Korean soldiers in front to show. But look, up there, the American commander, they are the one dividing the Korean Peninsula. And they put the South Koreans in front just for a showcase for us. Huh? They also flag the United Nations flag when they are not authorized by them. The United Nations doesn't authorize this. It's a purely American division. Yes? This is very important. Look up there, the colonels and generals from the United States perpetuating the division of the Korean Peninsula. They are the guilty ones. They are the ones that are making the Korean people failing to be reunited again.
The soldiers above the balcony over there, in uniform, they are the US soldiers, officers.
But the ones down low, the ones here are US?
No,
they are the South Korean soldiers in US uniform.
Oh, all right.
The South Korean are just puppets of them. These are the warlords, the criminals, up there controlling South Korea. There will be one day that the South Koreans will realize that. And then that Yankees will go home. Huh? Yankees go home!
Again.
Yankees go home! Yankees go home! Yankees go home! Yankees go home!
The border is only about 100. The border is only 100. The border is less than 100 yards. 3, 2, 1. I'm standing right on the border, and that's about as close as most people will ever get to North Korea. In fact, security is so tight that should anybody try to cross the border, they could run the risk of being shot. Although Seoul is only an hour in that direction on the South Korean side of the border, if I wanted to get there, I would first need to travel to Pyongyang, then fly to China, before getting on another plane to take me to South Korea.
Does it remind you of
So often when we ask to do something, there's a reason we say, oh, there's no time on the schedule, or we must stick to the schedule.
Please, let's say that we didn't make the schedule ourselves.
And I didn't either. But there's sometimes the time becomes available.
Oh, excuse me. What? We are doing our best, but some of you have the wrong impression, wrong impacts.
How?
You just heard what he's saying, right? So if you say that one go to A place and B go to B place and C wants to go to C place, then how can a group can be organized? So what we teach from the childhood is that you should cultivate the team spirit. And because you are living in a society, not living alone.
We had no part in the schedule. We didn't decide the schedule at all.
Then who decided? We didn't.
We didn't either.
Then who is it?
Maybe,
the ghost?
Maybe Alejandro.
We saw that you have discussion with him.
I mean, I'm hearing the schedule is very good, but when you come here...
No, I don't think the schedule is very good because most of you are just asking to show us these things and these things and these things.
Part of the problem is that when we get to the DPRK, we learn about things that we didn't know existed and that we didn't know were here, and so we didn't even know to think to ask to put them on the schedule. So when we learn about them, that's when we ask to see them, and that's part of the problem. Are we still friends?
Sure.
All right.
Please say, time to get back. Stop for a second. We gotta have you stop.
Everybody's just coming.
Yeah, but tell them anyway. Stop. Stop. They need you to stop. Stand.
Okay, shall we get into the bus, please?
We came to your country with friendly feeling, with solidarity to the Korean people, and just house to achieve nation and peace on the Korean Peninsula. First of all, I, in the name of the participants in the for Korea's space association, would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Korean community for peace collaboration with my travelers and the entire Korean.
Well, I'm afraid I haven't read enough of Kim Il-sung's works to know how to work with this. Do you think perhaps if you had some more guidance, you'd be on-spot guidance? Yeah, it would be of great help. No. Come here. Come near. The United Nations program which works in this country, which is set up, it is a tremendous need based upon my next line in the piece will be the crippling sanctions from the United States have made it unable for North Korea to get all of the food to people that need to have food.
Okay, I would say hardship, not disaster.
Okay.
But your call.
Well, it's not my words, United Nations word, but I can change it.
Your call. Just making an observation.
Okay. Although conditions have improved, this country remains. This country
is experiencing significant hardship.
Okay, fair enough, Gunnar.
Yes. You have to voluntarily pay for it. 3, 2, 1.
Although conditions have improved.
And I made a mistake, and it's insulting to me. When you get up there and you that's not. Sorry. What? This is not something to.
Well, we can all hear it.
Yeah, but don't film it. I did, and on camera, that a member of the KFA took exception to. I was discussing the economic conditions in the country. The KFA member thought I went too far. Funny enough, I thought he had a good point. I altered what I said to come up with something a little more concise that read a little better. Didn't think twice about it until afterwards. This member of the KFA reported to the head of the KFA, Alejandro Caldebenos, that I was undermining the DPRK and spreading lies, at which point Alejandro took my camera, started screening it, said that he was tired of my lies. He then threatened my life, said that he would track me down, find me no matter where I was, or thousands of his followers would do so. And the next thing I knew, my room had been broken into. On tapes, We're in here. They broke the lock that's down there. They're all gone. They came into my room and broke the lock, and they took everything that we've worked on. And I was effectively, from that point onward, placed under house arrest.
So what do you think of the trip so far, Bjornar? Has it been a success?
조선은 하나다.
Wouldn't do interviews.
Has it been a success, do you think?
조선은 하나다.
I think that you think that I'm more aggressive than I really am. I don't have anything against you. 5?
I didn't intend this to happen.
Oh.
The stories that I were going to do, and the stories I'm still hoping to do, assuming my tapes haven't been destroyed, will be better pressed than North Korea has had in such a long time, and will reach so many people. I'm telling you, they you know, from the waterfall to the dancing to things that we've seen to a group of Western tourists traveling through North Korea, there was going to be so much good that the line or two you might take exception to, which I changed. This is what it comes down to when I lose my tapes breaking notes. I spent 10 days in North Korea witnessing wonderful sights, only in the end they were taken away and burned by a man who was overzealous and not a friend of North Korea and kicked members out of his organization. That's what the story is about.
The other 2 seconds mean you just private.
I was eventually asked to apologize for what I had done. It was a very difficult situation. I made my point very clear that I didn't think I had done anything wrong. I was threatened with being detained further in the country. I ultimately worked out an arrangement with the government whereby I told them the words that they wanted to hear, and they segregated me from the rest of the group, drove me around the city of Pyongyang in a car by myself this morning, and eventually took me to the airport. The official word given was that there was some concern that I had been filming military installations. That was patently not true. There was nothing on those tapes that was at all bad. The military stuff, I didn't even want to shoot them because I don't need them, because I have tons of file pictures of military. The only military pictures are like out the windows of the occasional stragglers walking. They wanted, Bjornar told me it was all set, that he had planned to get me, and that at some point during the week it was going to happen. Regardless of what there was or wasn't on my tape, I'm not going to let anybody censor what I can or can't shoot, but I was playing by whatever rules we were given. But they clearly had fabricated a story and had an agenda and wanted my tapes. If they gave the tapes back and I explained it to them, I'd forget the whole thing. I go back, I do my stories, everybody's happy, and I swear to them the stories will be good. This way, I mean, why are they so stupid? The really interesting thing, and the reason why I think it's all an Alejandro's setup, is that Mr. Kim is the one who I was dealing with it throughout yesterday, and he was the one who gave me the option to write the letter, or I would be detained and turned over to security forces, kept in the detention center.
That letter was a face saver for Alejandro. That's all that is.
Well, listen about the letter. The letter basically, Mr. Kim says, we will only keep this between us. Don't tell anybody in the group. And I won't tell anybody. I'm thinking, that's weird. Why would he keep it to himself? When I got to the airport today, I noticed I was taken in separately in a black car with black windows and driven around in circles actually for a while first before we went to the airport. And then when we got there, Mr. Liu, the fat man who sat in the front of the bus, he and I had gotten along great earlier in the week, so he saw me. I hadn't seen him in days. He's smiling, he's waving at me, and I'm looking at him like with this somber face, and he sort of says, what's wrong? And Mr. Lee comes over and says, Mr. Lee, does he not know what happened? Mr. Lee asked, he had no idea. He's Mr. Kim's boss. Unless he's lying, he had no idea. Which means the whole thing, Alejandro could have had the tapes the whole time, that it could have just been him and Mr. Kim playing along,
because Mr. Kim would only talk about those concerned. I said, who are those concerned? He'd say, intelligence agents, but very vague. And I said,
so the
you
North
need
Korean
to
government could have no idea what happened.
Potentially. That's what.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's scary.
The one tape I did save, funny enough, is I have the interview with Mr. Kim was in my bag. They asked me for today's tapes, and that happened to be in my bag, and it was shot the day before. So I didn't give it to them, and it wasn't in my room when they broke in and stole everything. So the one thing I have is a shot of me walking with the guy who basically forced me to write the confession, and his station. So it's all on him. So he could be headed to the Gulag pretty soon. Significant issues. On the other hand, you have North Korea, which also has very firm points, a line in the sand, if you will, where they will not move from. So I think what you have are two sides which are not seeing the other side's point of view at this point, and that's led largely to a stalemate, Mr. Lee.
Is it okay that I press the record button?
I saw you recording, the light was on.